Welcome back to the studios. Today I got yet another build for you. In my last Airsoft build video I got called out for not upgrading the internals. And ladies and gentlemen, this time we got quite the upgrade. I haven't seen anyone else use this internal upgrade combo that I'll be showing you in this video. I won't say that it's first in the world because I'm pretty sure there's a million people probably have done it before but not put it online because everything is about the internet. I just haven't seen any out there. So since my transition to only owning GBBs and HPAs, I felt that my only AEG no longer fits into that group. I have a different connection to this gun, so I didn't want to sell it and figured it was the perfect candidate for my first HPA build. Hopefully one day it'll get accepted into the tan society of Airsoft. So first up, I removed the old batteries that are probably dead because I haven't shot this thing in years. We won't be needing those any longer. I need to charge them up to see if they can be of use to someone else. Keeping the old shell, the internals will be swapped into HPA. And since I don't like using HPA tanks for the realism, I'll be installing all into a stock. The build will feature a Polarstar Kythera engine and a Wraith X CO2 stock. Yeah, I can already see the comments about what the hell I'm doing, but hey, all I'm going to say is that you have now reached a weird, interesting side of YouTube. I got the Kythera because it was on sale at a local shop and was very affordable. So, on to the build. I didn't read the instructions at all and got straight to opening the package, because who needs instructions anyway? I struggled to even get the engine out of the box, so I already knew this was going to be a slow and painful death for me. The engine did come with a nice sticker, which would be better as a patch, but I'll take it. With no knowledge nor experience of HPA engines and AEG engines, I threw myself onto this project with the hope that it will all just work. And oh boy, I was wrong, as I'll explain later on. So I start disassembling the M4 like I would with any other real firearm or GBBs with the pins taken out. I then remove the upper receiver, and keep in mind that I've never disassembled an AEG before, but a lot of real M4s in the military. So revealing the gearbox, nothing really made sense for me, but I got going with the rest of the parts. I removed the stock and I saw a screw which made no sense in the stock as well. I've created this Frankenstein of a screwdriver, duct taped by two different tools and used it to loosen up the screw. Then I removed the buffer tube carefully and threw it in the bin. I removed the sling mount plate as I would be needing it later. Then I removed the pistol group. And again, there was a motor which also didn't make any sense, but I guess it is the courtesy of Airsoft. Anyway, I took the motor out and also threw it in the bin. In its place, revealing more screws that I would need to use the Franken driver. Then I removed the pin that holds the gearbox together, and also removed the magazine button, and the gearbox was out. And all of this might look easy, but trust me, when you know nothing, it takes ages, but at least the magic of editing saves you from the suffering. I then removed the 20 screws that holds the gearbox together, and a spring took a trip to heaven and almost took out my camera lens. I then split the gearbox completely and tried to understand how the HPA engine worked. Which again did not make sense, as it wasn't a surprise anymore. It fit perfectly into the gearbox, and I've seen some people run the reset cord through the grip, so that's what I tried to do for now. I then got to opening the Wraith X package. There was a bunch of safety notices that I didn't read, but maybe you can if you want. And Wolverine Airsoft did include a nice patch for my helmet. Also, if you're wondering about the ghost suit in the thumbnail, I made a full suit on my channel, so go check it out, or don't, I don't know. After examining the stock, I installed the hose that came with the Kythera into the engine. And yeah, more papers. Then I had to install all the stock accessories and realized that the stock doesn't fit and that I need to go the old-fashioned way to drill a hole in the back. Here, if I can get it to sit right, you would see that the inner part is much more shallow than the buffer and that a small expanding would be in order. So I went drilling off camera because I couldn't keep the camera straight. And the stock was now good to go after 3 hours of getting it to sit right. And well, you might be asking why all the trouble to make this? Because I'm crazy and I like to do hard stuff that makes me slowly lose my mind. And since this was my first ever gun, I felt like I owe it to not sell it. I wasn't even planning on an HPA build, but to switch this one with a GBB, but Fate had other plans. Then I measured the hose and cut it into size. Of course it was too short and I had to order a new hose and wait a week for that. Then I tried to install the trigger for 2 hours straight, but it kept hopping back out because of the spring, so I gave up on it and it fixed itself magically. Then I installed the gearbox back in, which took me around 8 hours to do because nothing fit together and I had to adjust everything 100 times. I also dremelled the back of the gearbox to be able to get the gearbox inside because the gas was leaking when I decided to try the stock before installing everything. Which I'm glad that it did, because it took me another week on and off adjusting to get everything to sit right, which I won't be showing you and sparing you the pain. Anyway, I installed the barrel and then the upper receiver, which was easy to get right. Then I got the pins back in and the magazine release. In the process, I lost the button for the release, so I used an old PC motherboard screw instead. Next, I threw the old stock over the Wraith buffer tube and began modding the exterior. I installed a Novritsch suppressor with foam inside and installed a suppressor cover for looks, since they have no other purpose since there's no mirage effect in Airsoft, so it keeps the suppressor from getting scratches. For the grip, I went with a classic short vertical foregrip. I spray painted it black since the tan color was off from the rest of the gun. I adjusted where my hand stops and installed the grip in position. Then I checked again to see if my grip was comfortable. As for the sights, I went with my favorite combo being a holo and a flip magnifier, because I find it the most comfortable and wins me the most situations since I don't have to adjust anything but a flip to get my close range and then my mid range. If I could choose again, I'd probably have gotten with a shoulder holo because it's more ergonomic, but it is what it is. The flip magnifier is from Theta optics and worked pretty damn well for Airsoft. I adjusted the two positions for the sights and installed them both into place. As for the light, I went with the DBAL setup without the laser because it's banned in many fields for a good reason, being you can injure other people's eyes, and I don't want to hear no cut the crap, just stop using it for everybody's safety. You are no Marine out for blood, this is a game for fun, which people tend to forget sometimes. We used IR lasers in the military and I hated using them when others in my team were also using them. They are practical but irritating. So I just used a DBAL with a flashlight instead. I could have gotten a torch, but a DBAL looks cool. A pressure pad gel switch is also really nice, so you don't have to use the button on the box, but can just run the switch to the grip for practicality. Also, it allows you to quickly spin the button. I installed it on the side and not top because I wanted a rail cover instead, and since I don't have a laser, it doesn't really matter and I can get away with what I want. I ran the wire around the handguard and placed the switch on the top side of the grip to allow me to rest my hand comfortably on the side while still having quick access to the switch. I had this old rail cover from a real M4 actually, which was in OD color that I spray painted black and mounted on top of the rail. I did have to cut 1 cm from the end to match it perfectly, which means no dirt or dust shall go into the rail. I tested my magnifier once again and now realized that I had to align it because the hollow reticle was on the top side of the magnifier image. There are 2 screws, one on the left side and one under the scope to allow aligning the image. And lastly, I installed a 2-point sling to be able to perfectly carry my gun. Now all there was to do was to insert the magazines and go shooting. Here you can see a tan high cap magazine and a metal standard issue 5.56 mid cap, and also a high cap auto drum mag, and with that we were ready for the Glamour Shots. After a quick light test of course.